Greetings all, I am Seminary Scholar, and this is my channel, where I discuss the beliefs of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. To preface, I have attended the Church's Seminary and Institute programs, and I am going to be referring back to official church sources, so hopefully this will be an accurate and informed resource for those of you looking to learn more about the Church. Recently, I've been working on my Exploring the Articles of Faith series, where we discuss the Articles of Faith that as held by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. These are just 13 succinct statements that are meant to introduce the more primary beliefs of the Church to those who aren't familiar. This week, we are looking at Article of Faith 12, which discusses how we believe that members of our Church should act in regards to laws and government. This article reads, "We believe in being subject to kings, presidents, rulers, and magistrates, in obeying, honoring, and sustaining the law." In order to familiarize you with this belief and why we decided to include it in our 13 articles, I'm going to first walk you through the logic of this belief and try to explain why we hold this belief and how it affects what we do. And that's going to kind of slide into our second point which is that just because we believe in upholding a government and obeying civic laws does not mean we necessarily agree with that government or those laws. So to begin, kind of explaining the logic of why we believe this. The first step in logic that we make is that there are two basic states of society, and those are government and anarchy. The second step of logic that we make is stating that government is inherently better in all of its myriad forms, some good, some notably less good. Any form of government is superior to anarchy, because anarchy creates a might is right society. Whoever is strongest gets what they want because nobody can stop them. Anarchy results in mobs and chaos and fear and situations where people aren't able to make the best choices and where their liberties are taken away and where nothing is held universally sacred. Whereas in government, even in corrupt, inefficient, malicious forms of government, there is still that effort that's put forth to say, these are the laws. These are the things that people cannot do. This is what you do if something does happen to you. Even in the worst forms of government, there is a semblance of due process, and there is some means of protection of rights and liberties, even if it's very minimal, even if that government institutionalizes the deprivation of other rights and liberties. That's what government does. And any protection in the eyes of the Church, or when you're looking at it through our point of view, any protection is better than none. Which is not to say that all government is good. I hope I'm making this point clear. Lots of governments are inefficient, lots more are malicious, and there are lots of unjust things that happen. But the assumption that the Church makes when it comes out and it says to its members, you should be obedient to the laws of your country, and you should hold yourself subject to the rulers of your country, the assumption that it is making is that order is superior to chaos, even if it is a corrupt order. And this leads us into our second point, which I think I just kind of explained. Even a corrupt order is superior to chaos, therefore we don't need to agree with a government in order to feel justified in obeying that government's laws, because we don't believe in supplanting a corrupt government with anarchy or with violence or with disorder. We believe in supplanting corrupt governments with superior governments. And so on that principle, we believe in seeking out justice for grievances, seeking out amendments to laws through the established, allowed legal practices, through peaceful protests, if that's allowed, through voting, if that's allowed, through the spreading and sharing of information. We believe in doing whatever is legal and allowed to change the system that we are in, rather than in trying to override the system by disobeying the laws of the land. Because when we begin to disregard the laws of the land, then we start to get into the realm where nobody is establishing a fundamental core of what is right and wrong, and this creates a chaotic environment where people suffer in that kind of environment, because inevitably, when government corrodes entirely, there are people who are stuck in the crossfire. There are people who aren't strong enough to protect themselves or provide for themselves in a dog-eat-dog world. And so we believe that the best way to cope with corrupt government is to try to change it through being civically responsible. And this goes a step farther, that we believe in being politically active. We believe in being civically active. We believe in being the kind of citizens that we want to populate our countries. And this extends to charitable service, which also ties into our beliefs as a church that we should care for other people. It ties into us being politically active. That is considered a responsibility in the church, that if you are able to vote in your country, you should. Because if you aren't influencing the laws of your country, you're letting them go whichever way they will. And so if you have the ability to choose and to influence, you should use it to be civically responsible and try to facilitate that change in a peaceful way. Now, hopefully this has been helpful to you and maybe opened your eyes a bit to why we feel this way, or maybe you didn't know that this is how the church viewed government. But I do want to say that just because this is the church's view on how members should interact with government, doesn't mean that every member is going to uphold this. People are individuals. They do what they think is right. And so you're going to have varying levels of this. You're going to have people who take this really seriously and who say, I believe that we need to uphold laws and respect the spirit of the law, so I'm not going to speed. I'm not going to park in incorrect places. And you'll have people who are very meticulous about it. And then you're going to have people who aren't as meticulous about it. And that doesn't mean that they're wicked or bad. It just means that they're working on different things. Because, and this is also a doctrine in the church, all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. And so whenever I'm introducing these beliefs, I hope you understand that this does not mean that they are ubiquitously practiced at the same level and in the same way with every member of the church. Everyone is at their own level. And we're all trying to progress towards what we see as the ideal. Thank you so much for keeping with me through this video. I hope it's been helpful and informative, and I hope to see you next week. Bye.